Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of You Can Call Me Karen. This week, we quickly dive into the origin story of the naming of the Spice Girls and the Karen behind all of that. And then we get into one of our favorite childhood TV shows, Saved by the Bell. So please enjoy as we break down the difference between TV now and then, a little tiny bit of tea on some child actors, and some themes around how TV today is quite different than TV in the 90s. And we will continue that discussion next week as well. So buckle up, and here we go.
Little box and a green box, little box and a blue one, box and a yellow one, and a little and a box and a green.
Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of You Can Call Me Karen. I am your host, Karen, and I am joined by the charming and clever Manny.
Hello.
There she is, charming and clever.
Yeah, I was just thrown off by that, so I didn't know how to respond.
I know. That was my goal. And the pensive and sassy Steph.
Oh my gosh. Pensive and sassy. I love both of those.
I really worked on those.
That's so, yeah. Clocked it.
This week, we will slip on our Keds and take a stroll down memory lane to the early 90s and a classic show, Saved by the Bell. But before we take that stroll, let's check in with my lovely co-host to see who you calling Karen this week.
Okay, so I was on Threads the other day. I spend a lot of time on Threads and TikTok lately because I just love the content there. Threads is amazing. And when I was on, one of our friends isn't on Threads, and we were like, why aren't you on Threads? Oh, Karen, you're not on Threads? Holy moly, girl. You got to get on Threads. It is where so much good stuff starts we'll begin with this post that I saw of, I thought this would be pretty good for our 90s millennial content today. And it said, I will never forgive them for calling her scary. And then it's pictures of scary, quote unquote, scary Spice. And so then I went on like a deep dive through this. We know how this rabbit hole can be, right, Steph? And I see things like she could have been called Curly Spice, Cinnamon Spice, Ultra Spice, literally anything but scary. They scarred a generation of black girls with that shit.
Damn.
And so then someone posted a video, and Steph, I think you have it queued up. Do you mind just playing? Because I feel like I can't even do this interview justice. Like, I feel like it should be played for our listeners to hear how she got the name Scary.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
You were called Scary Spice, right? That insinuates that you were mad and unpredictable. Do you resent that name?
All those names was given to us by a lazy journalist. He couldn't remember our names.
Yeah.
So it was like, oh, well, she's in a tracksuit. That one looks sporty. She's in a nice little dress. That's posh. So the reason why he said scary to me is because if I was in an interview with the girls and I didn't like what the interview was saying to the girls, I'd go, stop it.
Yeah,
so
but
I would like the
to me,
protector.
that's not scary. That's like the whole embodiment of like what you guys represented was like girl power and strength.
Some people even say, "Oh, she's called scary because she's mixed race, or she's,
it's a racial slur,
yeah, or she wears animal print." I've been wearing animal print since I was 12. From when I used to watch Coronation Street, and I saw Bette Lynch behind the bar with a leopard print bustier. I said to my mum, "When I get older, that's all I'm going to wear." And that is all I wear. In fact,
you think
that is all I wear?
All right. So what are your reactions to that? As, I mean, obviously we know that Karen is the lazy journalist, right?
I didn't realize that's how they all got their names.
Did it seem to you like the interviewer was like tried to get Mel B to realize. Like, I felt like Mel B was like, no, I mean, I was wearing animal print, and I guess that is kind of scary for someone to like enter. And I'm like, and she was like, no, you're girl power. You tell someone to stop when you're saying something inappropriate. What? Like, oh, my heart just like hurt for that. That made me upset.
Yeah. That was in the comments as well. It's like, not the interviewer, like waking up Mel B and letting her know, like, that was actually completely racist and misogynistic, and they shouldn't have called you that. Yeah. What were you going to say, Karen?
I do feel like, though, that there's a part of me that's like happy that Mel B kind of took it the way that she did and didn't live the last 25, 30 years with that anger either. Like, there's a part of me that feels like, oh,
like relieved she
good
missed
that
it.
she wasn't. What's that?
She relieved that she missed that like point, or that.
Yeah, a little bit.
Why?
I don't know, because otherwise she would have been, I don't know, just like
I'm sure
saved
she
her
had
emotions a little bit.
other things that she realized she was up against, and maybe the name
Was like the last one on
thing on the list. I'm sure
But I also can't believe this is the first time I've even thought about
Me too.
that name.
I think this is a conversation, what you're bringing up about the interviewer, Steph, is a conversation of how deeply rooted white supremacy is, and that, like, just because you're Black doesn't mean you're immune to it.
Exactly.
And doesn't mean that, like, you don't need to unlearn all the ways that whiteness has been centered.
Yes.
And so whether she realized it after the interview or not, for me, is important to bring into reality of, like, there are these subtle ways in which people use microaggressions that give off these beliefs, unconscious beliefs of Black women, and something as presumably innocent as, like, the label Scary Spice was one of those things. And now we're just collectively using that language to define Black women with curly hair who wear leopard print as scary.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, how internalized those beliefs were, so much so that she was able to excuse it away all this time, even when someone's pointing it out to her. It was almost like, no, it can't be that, you know.
Do you know when that interview was? Was that recent?
I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know.
Man, that like brought up a lot of things for me. like I just started watching the America's Next Top Model. So we just saw the first episode last night.
I've only seen the first episode. Yeah.
It was interesting to me because Tyra Banks brought up the fact that, like, when COVID hit and everybody was home was when people started, like, binge watching old shows. And so what stood out to me was the lens through which people were watching America's Next Top Model in 2020 versus when we were watching it. And so I feel like that's really relevant to what, like, you know, the lens through which Mel B was receiving the name Scary Spice is different than the lens through which we're watching it now. You know, I feel like there's so much more conversation. You know, I feel like white supremacy, the phrase has been, like, I better understand it now than I did when I was 17, 18 years old and the Spice Girls came out. And even the interviewer who is pointing it out to her probably wouldn't have said the same thing in 1997. And so that's kind of where, like, I'm just like, man, it almost shows some growth and gives me like a touch of hope, but it's just so sad to see someone as talented and powerful and, you know, amazing as Mel B not hear what this lady is saying about, like, what that name was, really truly was, you know.
I would like to say justice for the Black women who are deeply rooted in Black community and not in predominantly white spaces because they knew that from the start. Like, I just feel like it's more a conversation about like tokenism and Black, like how we grew up, Steph. You know, I feel like my mom would have called that out or knew that what was happening like before. I think you're right in that like our generation of millennials or Black suburban women are understanding that now, but I feel like deeply my mom understood that that was like absolutely inappropriate.
Well, and now I'm thinking, like, what are the other names? So like that journalist was like, okay, you're scary, and then you're posh, and you're sporty, and you're baby. Like she had, like the contrast between those names was so stark too. To like in that moment miss that, and after that for their PR team and their producers and everybody to be like, yeah, that's good. Let's keep it like that. Like they could have chosen something different. They could have gone any direction with it.
For sure.
But they were like, nope, that'll do.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Anyway, sorry, that was a
that's a
long
big
Karen, but I thought I would share, especially given
Yeah,
the 90s
no, that was a good one. All right, I'm going to call on you now, Steph, for your Karen.
So my Karen this week is belong to like this is gonna sound super nerdy and very boomer, but I'm in I like joined a middle school math teacher Facebook group. Anyway,
That aligns with your job. That doesn't, I mean, the Facebook part is the problem.
It's the Facebook part.
Oh, I feel like that's so endearing.
Oh, thank you. Well, it's just like you see, like, I'm teaching this concept next. Anyone have any strategies? Or like, I found this resource, I really like it, or whatever. But my Karen of the week is one of the people in that group. It's massive. And this woman basically was like, shared a screenshot of a problem. And I guess this woman teaches 5th grade math online. And she said that her niece or something came to her and was like, look at this test. Like, I got this question wrong. This is how I answered it, but this is how my teacher wanted to answer it. And so the woman like screenshot it, posted it on the middle school teachers page, and she was like, can someone tell me how you would do this? Like, I think how my niece solved it was correct, and I don't know why the teacher marked them wrong. And then people were trying to explain, like, I think the teacher was getting at this, like it was basically like an estimation problem, and so the student estimated way closer to the correct answer than the teacher was going for. Anyway, what made her a Karen was people were coming in saying, I think the teacher was probably looking for this. And if you estimate, they want friendly numbers. What your niece did was wasn't round. It wasn't like small. And so what they were looking for was this. She literally argued with every single person down the line, like, yes, but I would have whatever. And if da-da-da-da-da. And so people were like, okay. You like, asked us then. Like what the teacher was going for. And they're like, when I teach 5th grade, we talk about friendly numbers, like, it should have been this number and this number. And this is what they were probably going. Well, it doesn't say what to round to. So why, and so she shouldn't have marked it wrong if blah, 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 blah. And then, so someone finally at the end, like called her out and was like, listen, you have been so argumentative with everyone. And like, if your intention was to just prove that you were right, like, then don't ask for anyone else's opinion. Like, everybody's just sharing what the teacher might have been getting at. And, and only people who said what she wanted to hear would she say, thank you. That's exactly what I would have done. And if this were my child, I would have fought. She wrote that. If this were my child, I would have fought this score and I would have like whatever. And I was like, thank God I don't have this lady's child, because like what? And interestingly enough, as a teacher, if someone came at me like, I think that there's should have been this, particularly if it were the student. I'm not understanding why I got this wrong. Da, 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 da. I probably would have given them some credit back. But if a parent came at me crazy like that, I would feel not willing, I feel so defensive. She just was coming at everybody so crazy. And that, I get sucked into reading like every single one of these. I was like, oh my gosh, get out of here.
Yes. Wait, I think I might have misunderstood something. So the woman who posted in the Facebook group, it was her niece?
It was
or
her
daughter?
niece.
And she's also a math teacher.
She's also a math teacher.
Got it.
Yes. And so she was like, Auntie, look at this. I don't know I got this wrong.
And it was a test or homework?
So it looks like homework, but then I think I read further down and it maybe was a test.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know if she got partial credit for it or just got no credit for it. That wasn't even clear in the post. She was so hell-bent on
care.
people agreeing with her that she didn't even explain the story or the context very well.
That's what I was about to say. If this was homework and you're going that hard on one question,
chill.
Get a life.
Period.
Either way, though.
Yes.
Yes, either way.
Get an explanation and move on with your freaking life.
Yeah.
Why one math problem is getting you all spun up?
I mean,
or maybe there's more context. Maybe you have a problem with this teacher, but then don't take it here.
And it's not even your
have
child.
a conversation with the teacher.
It's not even your child. And she was like, and that's
So
why I took it
bizarre.
here because I wanted to hear from other teachers that maybe, but you don't want to hear from other teachers because other teachers are saying what could understand where that other teacher might have been coming from.
You just want them to agree with you.
Yeah. I was getting fired up.
And what's the end goal here? Are you going to then copy all the responses from the Facebook page and then show up to the school?
I bet that's what she did. She probably took all the responses she liked and was like, see, all these math teachers agree with me.
Well, further down in the abyss of this comment section, she said, she was like, you know what? This is why I homeschool my kids. This is why I took my kids out of school. Good. Yeah. Insane lady. Good luck in life. Because people are going to do things differently than you. And that's the beauty of math. I talk about that in my class all the time. You're going to see this differently than the person sitting right next to you. And that's okay. Jiminy
we were literally
Christmas.
just talking about this last night because Maxwell will bring home, his homework and it's teaching him different ways to approach math. And I feel like when we were growing up, they were like, okay, here's your multiplication table and everybody must learn it that way. And now it's here's all these different ways that a brain may process this. And I appreciate that. However, me trying to help him, I'm like, I don't get this at all.
Well, that's why I asked if it was homework versus a test because it is supposed to reinforce practice, right? And the parent isn't really supposed to be involved in that process. And
Girl,
so
say that again for the people in the back. Parents are not supposed to be involved in that process.
You guys have said this before.
Well, you have to remember that Maxwell is younger. I mean, Stephanie's talking about middle school.
So then I am allowed to be involved? Because they send home homework and he doesn't know how to do it.
Yeah, for elementary school, I believe that is appropriate. But I think for middle school, they're supposed to start taking ownership over their own learning and learn how to advocate for themselves. So what the parent really should be doing if their student is struggling is teaching them how to ask the question to the teacher of I don't understand, or I was unable to get this problem last night. Can you help me further? Or can I come see you after school to receive more additional help? At some point, the student is going to have to start to become more vocal and advocate for themselves without the parents' involvement. So I don't think that they're able to really do that in elementary school. But I think in middle school is where we really want the student to be able to start doing that.
Yeah.
Okay.
You just heard our Karen stories, but we can't be the only ones. If you've had a Karen or Chad encounter or confessional, you've been a Karen yourself, we'd love to hear from you. Wherever you listen, click on the link in our show notes and text us your Karen stories.
I am going to pivot us at this point to our topic of the week. All right, let me set the stage very quickly. It is 3 p.m. on a weekday, 1993. And I just walked in the door from elementary school. I pick up our corded phone that is on the wall of our kitchen to call the hospital where my mom works. They answer, "Hi, can I speak to Ruth, please?" I wait and I wait and I wait. And then my mom's voice comes on the line and I say, "Hi, Mom, I'm home from school." This is our daily routine. We chit chat for a few minutes. She asks how my day was, if I have any homework, and then we hang up. I grab a snack, I sit on the sofa, and I turn on just normal live television. It's probably not even cable at this point. And I watch Saved by the Bell. Those are my memories from watching that show. After school, relaxing on the sofa, unwinding from the day. And before we dig into some of the history of the show, I want to kick off and hear from both of you. What are your origin stories with Saved by the Bell? What do you remember about it? Did you watch it much? Did you not watch it much? Were you alone? Where were you? Tell me what your immediate memories are.
Okay, first of all, you were allowed to call your mom at work.
I had to because my sister and I walked ourselves home from school, so I had to either call my mom or my dad and tell them I was home. And literally she was a nurse in a oncology, and so like she was with patients and stuff. Like the thought of it as an adult of the other side of her experience was she like inserting someone's
Port.
what was it called, a pick at the time, and like had to be like, okay, hold on, my daughter's calling. Like I need to ask her what the other side of that picture was for her. But yeah, I had to call and like ask for her by her first name, which was, I remember when she taught me how to do that. It was weird. Yeah,
I was never allowed to call my mom at work. If I interrupted that woman in the middle of her workday, it would be an ass whooping. Like it had to be good.
yeah, I know.
Oh man, we called.
I
I
was
loved calling.
expecting our call. I can't remember if there was like, we had to call them and tell them we got home.
Yeah, that's like a funny memory that we now like joke about, but that I now like understand.
Yeah.
When my workday is interrupted by some like bullshit, not saying that was like bullshit, that seemed like your routine, but like when my day, like I tell my kids, like if I ever get a phone call from the school or like you need to do something, I'm passing out butt whoopings, you know, like that. But I mean, my mom was a single mom and it made sense. Like she needed to be focused and whatever, but that's just so funny. That's the first thing that stood out to me of like, man, what a privilege.
I mean, if I called her 20 minutes later and was like, I don't know how to blah, 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 she probably would have killed me.
She probably would have been like, what the hell? So I remember Good Morning, Miss Bliss. Like, I remember that being my after school experience. We did have an expectation that like you get home, you do your homework, and then whatever you want to do after that, you can do. You can go hang out with your friends and then be home by the time the street lights are on. You can watch TV, but like homework happens first, going back to that. So I never had anybody helping me with my homework. So maybe that's also why I feel I support teachers in that, because I feel like it's kind of an equity thing of like sometimes if your parent is not around to help you, that just furthers the gap of students who have access versus those who don't. So, and it's not like my mom didn't want to be there. It's just that her work day ended and she
was the same.
You know? So, so I remember that, and I remember Good Morning, Miss Bliss. And I feel like 5th or 6th grade is when it transitioned to Saved by the Bell, but I'm not. I don't know. Steph, what do you remember?
We'll get to that.
So we weren't allowed to watch TV after school, and so when I watched Saved by the Bell, it was maybe must have been like in syndication or like reruns on Saturdays. Like I feel like I saw it on Saturdays.
Yeah. And
the only thing that pops into my head, because I was one of those weird ones who actually liked that season where they like worked at the beach. And I know I liked it. Okay.
Kelly Grossi or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I liked that season for some reason. And I also just remember like when they were really in the high school, that like beat, beat, beat.
Yeah.
Beep, go Bayside.
That's
beep.
yes.
Yes,
Oh
that's
man,
amazing.
that was my jiggy jam.
Oh my gosh. Oh, this is so good, you guys. We're gonna get into all of these things. So I did some reading yesterday about the history of the show, when it started, how it started, who was in it over the years, and on and on. I thought I'd just take you through some of that because I think it'll trigger a few more of these memories, and we can, stop and react when we have reactions. But I haven't given you a preview of this intentionally. I was just hoping to see what you think about all of this in real time, and you're off to an excellent start, I must say. So, was going to start with what was the original title of Saved by the Bell, and Manny already crushed that one. I didn't know Good Morning Miss Bliss. I never saw that title. It was the first season. Do you all know what year that aired by chance?
Like 89 or so. I don't know. Was it 90?
That's pretty close. So the very, very first pilot came out in 87, like the very first show. But then that first season of Good Morning Miss Bliss was 1988. And so, first of all, that was way earlier than I realized. I was only 4, so I clearly was watching this in rerun version. Steph, you mentioned the Saturday morning thing. That was when new episodes were played. It was like weekly on Saturday
Okay, I was
morning.
like, I thought it was on Saturday.
Yeah.
Okay.
So here I am like watching it. Like my memory is so like vivid of after school, but it was just reruns that they were playing. So I was watching it all out of order. Like I didn't even know. But do you all remember on the middle school, I'll call it the middle school years, the Good Morning Miss Bliss, do you all remember who the characters were? Like of the 6 that we know, do you know who was in that first season?
I know Zack was in it. Mr. Balding was in it.
Mr. Belding.
But didn't they call him Mr. Balding throughout Saved by the Bell? That's like what they would.
Did they? Oh, I don't know. Maybe.
Yes, Mr. Balding. That was like their insult to him because he was a douche canoe. And Miss Bliss. I feel like Lisa and Screech were in it, but none of the other ones.
Manny, I feel like when we have talked about this before, you have been like, I didn't really watch it that much.
No,
but
that was me. That was me.
Oh, that was Steph.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I was
I'm
like
like, you're-
nervous about doing this because I'm like, I feel like I'm supposed to know more.
Well, yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit. But yes, you crushed that. That is correct. There were 2 other characters, a character called Mikey and a character called Nikki that were in that Miss Bliss portion, and they didn't make it through to high school.
R.I.P. Pour one out for the homies.
Man, yeah, you crushed that. Okay, so now here's like the bonus question. Do you remember who Miss Bliss was?
Like as an actress or?
Yeah. Who played her?
I see her face. I just know she had an accent, like a British accent, but I don't remember anything else she was in, no.
I could
But I
picture
know-
her face
So,
too.
I didn't make this connection, but did you 2 see the original Parent Trap? Not Lindsay Lohan, but the original one? Mm-mm. She was the girl who played the twins, like the... Yeah.
Cool.
I never made that connection. But yeah, so I don't know, that movie was memorable to me in my childhood for some reason.
I never
Because
saw the
you
original.
you only watched 4 movies your entire
That's
childhood.
right. So it's going to stay with you.
That's true. It's the only one I saw before 2003. So, I'm just kidding. Okay. Since Manny's on such a roll here, Steph,
No,
can
no,
you
don't put me on the
name
spot.
the missing characters that we have not yet highlighted?
Kelly Kapowski,
Well, yeah. Okay. Yep.
AC Slater, Jesse Spano.
There you go. Okay. See, You got it. And does anybody know what AC stood for? I did not know this.
I feel like I used to know. I don't know.
Really?
I do feel like I did know.
Used to know. I did used to know. It'll come to me.
Okay, we'll let that linger for our listeners. So the thing I think there was a few things that was surprising to me, but the show was filmed the show that we know in high school at Bayside was basically 4 seasons. I just assumed this thing was running for like 10 years, but it was 4. From, I have the years here, but I want to say it was like 89 to 92 or 93.
How many episodes were in a season, though?
It was really variable. So the one year that Steph alluded to was that Malibu season. And so they did 6 episodes of that where they were working at that resort over a summer. And then I think there was like 10 or 12 like normal episodes that season where they were in, I think, their junior year of high school. There was something super weird. So in season 4, which was their senior year, they did, I'm going to say, I don't know, 10 or 12 episodes, with the last one being graduation. And then after they filmed that, the company that aired it wanted 11 more episodes. They ordered 11 more episodes. However, Kelly Kapowski and Tiffany Amber Thiessen and Elizabeth Berkley had already left, so they weren't doing the show anymore. And so they introduced this Tori character. Do you remember
I also
Tori?
fucking hated. I hated her.
She was like the leather jacket
bicycle
wearing,
chick. She was so
kind of
annoying.
badass.
Yeah, not badass at all. Really, really annoying.
Yeah, well,
not
you know,
like
it was.
Tori.
She wasn't the
supposed to
best
be a
acting, as
badass.
it turns out. But
I remember that earthquake episode with her, and someone was pregnant.
What? I don't
Yeah,
remember
like one of the
any that.
teachers was pregnant, and there was an earthquake because they lived in California, and there was like an earthquake, and Tori had to like deliver a baby or something.
I don't remember that.
The show is so bad in hindsight, but yeah, so they introduced Tori to like make up for Kelly and Jesse being missing, and then they took those. So they recorded these 11 episodes introducing Tori with no Kelly and Jesse, and then they sprinkled them in throughout the season, just like nobody will notice. Yeah, and then they just went on. And then the graduation episode was the last episode of that season, and Kelly and Jesse were there. But like Tori wasn't there when they were there. It's just
I feel like in the 90s you could do that. Like
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like switch out Aunt Viv and act like we didn't notice.
and then Aunt Becky. Oh my gosh, sorry. A slight pivot, but
This is great. I love
for
it.
anybody who's never seen the last episode of Roseanne, it is hysterical because what's the young boy's name? Is it DJ?
DJ.
No, yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
He like it's like all Dan's memory of like being with his family, and apparently like it like goes through like the entire like Roseanne like series or whatever, and you like find out that like DJ is in like a mental institution, and he's repeating and swaying back and forth like he's insane. He's repeating, they say she's the same, but she's not the same. They say she's the same, but she's not the same. And then it does a full montage of Aunt Becky.
Wait, you mean Becky, like his sister?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, Becky the sister.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Wait, did they swap out
Yes.
the person who played
Yes.
it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I never watched the show. I wasn't allowed to.
It is the best ending to a series. I was like, that is so
That's
clever.
funny.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that's a great point. In the 90s, they would do shit like that. Like they would just swap out a character's, like the person playing the character, but never comment.
Or they just got rid of Judy on Family Matters.
Yeah.
Oh.
And no
Yeah.
explanation. We're not going to tell you why, We're just going to
There
pretend
was a
like we
lot
don't
of that in
see
Saved
that.
by the Bell too. I was originally going to have you both watch an episode and we were going to react to it. And so I was like looking up the most cringy Saved by the Bell episodes. And there was one where someone was like, someone came to the school, like a new student, and then Zack found out they were like living in a car or living on the street or something. And then his mom took them in to live with them or something. And then that character was never seen again.
Was this the Holiday? No, that was different. That was a different homeless, unhoused person. The Holiday episode.
It was, there was a lot of those though, where a character would show up once and be pretty instrumental in, you know, somebody's development or understanding of the world and then never to be seen again. But that was just 90s television. It was pretty...
They just came to teach us a lesson. That's it. They served their purpose.
Yeah, it was like one episode. Just that was the whole story. And then we start fresh the next week.
Oh, I'm thinking about the girl who was homeless and they worked at the like wrapping place for Christmas. And she ended up stealing something and getting in trouble. And and the mall wanted to like fire her, but then they found out she was homeless and was doing it for her dad or something like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure that is the one, but I'm sure our listeners will correct me.
Zack and Kelly's relationship was never really quite clear to me either, because Zack liked that girl, but I feel like it was also in the middle of him and Kelly being a thing. I don't know. Their whole...
Yeah, they weren't sequential in the storyline at all. It was like some episodes Zack and Kelly were a couple, and then some episodes Zack was chasing some other girl.
Yeah.
And it was not... They just didn't care that from one to the next, those things weren't cohesive.
And AC and Kelly had something...
You guys,
what is,
I can't know what AC stands for yet.
No, I was just about to ask. What is it? I'm gonna hate myself.
Albert Clifford.
Albert Clifford.
Oh, blessed.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't think I did know that then. For some reason, I thought it was a little more Latino.
Alejandro.
Yeah, like I thought it was a little bit more like Latino than that.
I think another interesting thing, they were casting AC Slater to be of a different ethnic background, and they just weren't finding anybody who fit the vision for that. Mm-hmm. And so then they extended like who could try out for that role. And Mario Lopez came and they were like, that's it. So I don't think
look good in spandex.
I mean, all the spandex.
With your curly mullet. Oh my gosh. But he nailed that role. Mm-hmm. I thought he was great in that role. But they also did that with Lark Voorhees. They were originally conceiving that role because if you recall, she was like very wealthy and snobby. Mm-hmm. They were originally conceiving it as Jewish, which I'm like, of course, just fulfilling that stereotype. Mm-hmm. But Lark Voorhees auditioned and like just super impressed everybody so much that they completely changed that trope and like brought her in, which I think was
that's kind of cool.
Pretty progressive for the time to be like, here's the rich snobby girl, and then they loved a black woman for that and kept that mold, but made it, not the stereotypical Jewish woman. So, or girl, I suppose at the time.
Can we just briefly go back to the fact that like Zack and Kelly were technically like, they were a couple, but it was kind of tumultuous, and every once in a while there'd be AC and Kelly, and then there like, and well, I don't remember. I know that there was the episode when Zack and AC like fought, and I can't remember. Was Kelly a part of that? Like, were they fighting about Kelly? I feel like there was time when
the first season was the love triangle. So Zack and Kelly were not a couple yet, but AC and Zack were fighting over her.
Well, I must say that anytime that kind of stuff happens, I always am very uncomfortable. I don't like when a friend is going after the original person's like love interest. I always
But I don't think that they were friends.
Oh, yeah, that's true. They ended up friends. That helps, but I still that it does help. What's running through my mind is like Dawson, Pacey, Joey. I'm like Pacey, that was effed up. Yeah, I'm always team OG couple. I'm trying to think.
But Zack and Kelly weren't a couple initially, so apparently freshman year, like that first season freshman year was they both liked Kelly.
Yeah, but like Ross, Rachel, then Joey, get the F out of here. You know,
that was weird.
I know, but I'm just saying in general, when that happens, I just get all kind of possessive about it, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
That's all.
No, I hear what you're saying. It's funny that you brought up Dawson's Creek. Also R.I.P.
All right, I meant to say that.
My like black woman brain gets James Vanderbeek and what's Zack?
Oh, Zack, same. I do too.
Mark Paul
Gosselaar.
I get them confused all the time in their images and their aesthetic, which is like so funny, and I feel like is justice for black people.
Yes.
But I was also thinking about like the race conversation and how Zack is not white; he's Asian, and
he's like half
Asian.
Polynesian or something like that.
And they put him as like this blonde, and that is how he became known to like the world. It's like this blonde-headed boy who, fulfilled that role and stereotype of like desirable, and he's not even completely white.
I didn't know that at all. Even in reading about Saved by the Bell all day yesterday, I did not pick that up.
One relationship that I hated that was forced was when they tried to get Screech and Lisa together.
They talk a lot about that because I guess there's a lot of current dialogue, I guess, about how Screech aggressively pursued Lisa, and she was like, she got mean at a point of like putting him off.
Yeah.
But in modern times, like his aggression about pursuing someone who has said no repeatedly would just not fly in today's world. But it was so, I don't know. He was so endearing despite all of that. I wonder if I watched it now, if I would still feel the same way. What I was going to ask is, Manny, you probably remember this. Do you remember them introducing a nerdy girlfriend named Violet for Screech? Do you remember who played
Tori
her?
Spelling. Sorry.
Yeah, good.
That episode when she sang and she was like hiding backstage or something like that. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Vaguely remember this, yeah.
Like they had the music performance, like it was like a show choir or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had totally forgotten that she was on there. And then I was reading this yesterday, like, oh my gosh, Tori Spelling. And such a bizarre character for her to play, too, compared to what I think of her as, in Beverly Hills and stuff.
I thought you were going to ask about, and I'm curious if this was in the random 11 season Tori, I think it was, where Tori appearance where Zack and Lisa had a stint where they kissed or like kind of.
Well, interesting you bring that up because for the first 3 seasons, Lark and Mark Paul were actually a couple.
Oh.
They dated. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I know. I thought that one was fun to learn. And also they broke up and then continued the show, which I think is weird. Like they had to.
How old were they during this time though?
Really young.
So.
I would need to search, but 3 years for young people is you're basically married. To break up and then keep working together would have been
I feel
weird.
like isn't that the story of Justin and Brittany like on Mickey Mouse Club?
Yeah, I guess so. Except they dated.
Is Lark canceled? Is she MAGA?
I didn't get that.
She had a mental health issue after.
Yeah, she has been diagnosed. So there was some weird goings-ons and some weird rumors about her, but ultimately she was diagnosed with some form of I didn't write it down, but some form of like, it's something that's kind of a combination of schizophrenia and bipolar. There was rumors that she had like a drug problem or something like that, which she apparently didn't have. She was dealing with this mental health crisis that I think early on wasn't properly diagnosed. And then it came out that, yeah, she had this, that she, deals with a serious mental health issue, and people wanted to call it drugs and like the normal, child actor stuff, but it just simply wasn't that.
I think when you are we're asking canceled MAGA, you're referring to Stacey Dash from Clueless.
I was, but I also thought I had heard
That Lark where he's supposed
Lark, yeah. But we do know Stacey Dash has. I wrote a poem about that. I know that. Mm-hmm. She was.
Oh my gosh, you did.
Yeah.
I do think it's like all of these names of people who had pretty good careers, like longevity. We mentioned earlier that Malibu Sands little 6-episode stint. That's where they introduced Stacey Caruso, who would pop up a few times here and there, obviously played by Leah Remini. And apparently it was her role in Saved by the Bell that got her the role in King of Queens, which was, I think, way more popular and long-lasting. Her dad, this was just one random fun fact, her dad, Leon, was played by a man named Ernie Sabella, best known for being the voice of Pumbaa in the animated Lion King.
Oh my gosh.
There's like all these weird little like connections to all these weird little things. And then you probably recall, like, I feel like there was just this whole long, like my whole childhood was filled with Saved by the Bell, but it was only those kind of 5 seasons. And then there was 7 seasons, you guys, of Saved by the Bell, the new class, which I can like sort of picture, but I definitely didn't watch 7 seasons of that from 1993 to 2000. There was 1 season of the college years, which I also thought was longer than 1 season. And then there was 2 movies, the Hawaiian Style.
I saw that one.
And the wedding in Las Vegas between Zack and Kelly.
Then I think I saw both.
I think overall, the thing for me that stands out is like, this was a show with a bunch of child actors in a time where I would imagine we didn't really take care of child actors' health. And after researching all of this, I was expecting more tea. Like I was expecting a lot of stuff that had gone on that we didn't realize was happening. And shockingly, it wasn't that bad. Like there was some episodes that didn't age very well. Like the way that they developed Zach Morris's character was pretty unsavory. He was like very conniving. He did a lot of things that in the end were probably would have been illegal. But that was the character. There wasn't anything all that wild, like drugs or sex or, you think of all the Disney stars that were in the limelight and had, bad stretches. I mean, poor Lindsay Lohan, like there was a lot there. And I think the tea here is there wasn't much tea. And I mean, maybe that's kudos to all of the adults that supported the making of that show, but I was pretty shocked by that.
Yeah, I mean, I think Disney definitely had a larger pool of people to have that
to fuck up
percentage of a downfall. I mean, we're only talking about like 4 or 5 people. I think Jessie Spano had like a little thing when she did Showgirls, but that
and
Elizabeth Berkley, but like I think that was like the only like kind of real drama post, just because she made such a pivot from
Yeah.
her character, but I don't think.
But that's the thing. Yeah. I didn't look it up to see if there was any actual gossip there. I do remember people being up in arms when Elizabeth Berkley played a stripper.
Yeah.
But also, like, in hindsight, to your point there, Manny, it was a divergence from her character.
Yeah.
It doesn't have anything to do with, you know, the other character she played. She's an actress. So
What about
I
Dustin
think she
Diamond?
got-
Like, he kind of went a little.
he had a
Off
little bit
the
of a fall
rails.
from grace.
He had a DUI, right?
Yeah, and then he
Yeah.
did porn or something like that.
I don't know about that.
Yeah,
I think
he did.
I remember that.
He
Yeah.
did porn. Because I remember there was something about, like, yes, he absolutely did porn.
I think you're right.
But this was,
And
Which
he
is
passed
also,
of cancer, right?
yeah, he had lung cancer. And he wasn't even a smoker. Oh, it was very sad. Yeah. 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 I feel like despite the little bit of tea we just spilled, I would have expected for a group of children, you know, in the limelight for as long as they were, that, you know, that could have had pretty awful effects on all of these people. And yeah, there wasn't as much goss as I thought. So good job. Good job, Saved by the Bell.
I mean, I don't know. I just feel like I feel like that is like a lot to go through. But I think it's more of a conversation of like, we need to stop glamorizing celebrities and just realize that they're normal people and that they're going to go through the same human experiences that we all do. Like, these are
And to
all
do
just,
it in such a public way.
yeah, it wouldn't be public if we just mind our business and just treated them like human beings that they are. Like, people are going to have, like, there's mental health, there's alcoholism, there's cancer, there's, you know, relationship breakups and stuff. Like, all of that is like very normal storyline for anybody, you know? So I think a lot of people, more people do that. I think we have a tendency as society to want it to be juicier or to be like TMZ headline because that is more sensational, and we glamorize these people as being completely different from us, and we want them to have a fall from grace. But I think, generally speaking, most don't, unless we go poking for it. Oh God, Britney Spears, Lord have mercy, that just happened.
Yeah. Well, that's what.
But she had anyway. Sorry, I'm derailing us. But yeah,
I think all of what you said is what I was trying to say, is that they had what I would call normal problems, but there wasn't anything sensational. And I do feel like with child actors, they tend to be exploited, and they tend to then have these sensational moments that put them in the limelight in a negative way. And I don't feel like that was as much the case here, despite it being at a time when I feel like there was a lot less attention and focus on children's mental health during, you know, such publicity. So anyways, I loved this trip down memory lane. I am impressed with everything that you both remembered, especially Steph not having watched this as much. So love it. It takes me back to my fond childhood memories. So any confessions before we wrap for today? Any secret crushes that you need to make us aware of? Or
I just Saved by the Bell definitely had some moments that, like, I loved, like, when Mario Lopez would bust out his dancing, like, that he could, like, do ballet or, like, all that kind of stuff. Like, there were just a lot of fun things that drew a little nerdy kid like me in. the dancing, the singing, the, you know, and still have, like, these cool teenagers, like, wearing cool outfits and, you know, being popular and all that kind of stuff. Like, it just had something for everybody.
yeah. I think I was blown away by the syndication of it all, and like, we'll talk a little bit more about this next week, but like how we consumed media in the 90s versus now, and like that we could watch a show out of order and not realize that we were operating on a different timeline. And, you know, also the amount of shows that come out in a season. Like I feel like Abbott Elementary really does a good job of like making sure that they're like a 20 episode season, like a full, like that's what like we were used to back in the you know, or in like the writing of shows. Like I feel like that craft and that art was taken a lot, like it was really a lot more challenging than like the 7 or 8 episode seasons that we see on the streaming services, and how you have to watch in order to really understand what's happening in the universe. And I just feel like perhaps that's why we enjoyed the show so much, is that like there was no,
each episode had a beginning, middle, and end.
Yeah, you could just jump right in whenever you wanted to an episode and still appreciate and enjoy the storyline, the plot, the characters, whatever.
Yes, it was such a different time for content, I'd say. I love that. That's a great segue or lead in, I suppose, to our final episode of the season coming up next week. So let's hold that thought. And thank you all for joining, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Hey, bitches. That's a wrap on another episode of You Can Call Me Karen. If you liked what you heard or didn't, go to our show page and leave a review. Just know, we will call you out. And if, unlike my 2 co-hosts, you find yourself scrolling endlessly on TikTok, follow us at You Can Call Me Karen. And if you're still living in the 20th century like a boomer, don't worry. You can find us on Instagram and YouTube at YouCanCallMeKaren_pod. We love you for listening.